A few realities we have to deal with because Joe Biden is in the White House and not Donald Trump. There are hostages, many of whom are American, still in custody at the hands of terrorists in Gaza for 144 days now. October 7th, most believe that that would not have happened if Donald Trump were in the White House. The slaughter of innocent Jewish women and children at that festival and everything that has happened since, that is on Joe Biden. And the fact that there are Americans who are actually rooting for the terrorists, and Joe Biden wants to mollify them, wants to placate them, wants to secure their support, and that migrants, illegal migrants, are killing women and children. Laken Riley, the funeral will be held the day after tomorrow, and throughout the country, in Maryland, Virginia, Louisiana, Washington, D.C., and Texas, there are illegal migrants murdering women and children and adults. That's horrible as well. None of this would be happening if Joe Biden weren't president. If Donald Trump had remained in the presidency, well, that's why we need him back, in my humble opinion. And the fentanyl crisis. This kind of puts Me Too in perspective, right? Country had a cultural breakdown over Black Lives Matter, Me Too, various popular with the left social fashions of the moment. Those are real problems. And the loss in Afghanistan. This would not have happened if Donald Trump had remained president. The Ukraine war, 65% of the American people believe that invasion, Putin would not have invaded if Donald Trump were still in power. Our problems today, gosh, it makes you kind of yearn for 2015. When Donald Trump came down that escalator, it really seemed like we could make America great again. Now we just have to, somehow, are we going to survive? Will we survive? Can I come back to Laken Riley for a moment? The funeral is the day after tomorrow. And in one of the most disgusting examples of the blame game, the mayor of Athens, Georgia, that's where the University of Georgia is, his name is Kelly Gertz. I mean, I think this man must resign or be impeached after these disgusting comments.
While 2019 was not that long ago, you might remember the dynamic we were living in the late teens in this country, where you had the President of the United States speaking in the most vile terms about people who were foreign born. And you had that notion metastasizing in places like Charlottesville.
This is an invasion! When I was younger, I was a criminal. And you know what I thought about doing? Crossing the border to Mexico to get away from my crimes.
Son, I'm going to ask you to leave.
Jesus Christ, he saved me, and I no longer live that lawless life, which you do.
Son, I'm going to ask you to leave.
You are lawless, Mr. Mayor.
God bless the people in that room. How dare he pull that? Donald Trump never expressed contempt for foreign-born people. Illegal migrants. This country is full of people who were born elsewhere and took an oath of citizenship and swore loyalty, and we love them. They love us. We're all one country. He should be impeached. And he wasn't done.
In the main, I caution against conflating immigration and crime. The data demonstrates that the two are not connected. Because the impact of federal immigration policy on localities has been under such consistent discussion in recent months, I do want to say a few words about this. It's my 18th year as a local government policymaker, and my work has overlapped with 4 U.S. presidencies and numerous iterations of Congress. All of them have failed to reach agreement on how to handle immigration.
All right, I'm getting kind of sick of this guy. Let's move on. Career politician, what do you think, huh? He had a constituent die on his watch, and Donald Trump is to blame. Republicans are to blame. Can I just hear the public giving this guy what he deserves, please?
You can look in Georgia statute, and you can find a clear definition for a unified government. You can look in contractual language, and you can find out exactly what it means to be an SEC institution. Sanctuary city doesn't track with either of those. And so that term means different things to different people depending on the context of the discussion.
We know what it means.
Many of the elements.
Liar.
Many of the elements.
Liar. Liar. Liar.
We,
You are a
We're here to listen.
You're a liar.
We're here to listen.
Liar.
There'll be time for questions.
You are guilty and got blood on your hands for this murder, sir.
Many of the aspects that are ascribed to sanctuary cities
We know what sanctuary
are
city
things
means.
that are disallowed by Georgia law.
Sanctuary policy, which is what we do.
And we contribute a document every year to the Georgia Department of Audits indicating that we do not correspond to these definitions under state law.
Yes, you do.
And no policies have been adopted
Please
by the
stop
mayor and
lying.
commission
You're
that have
insulting
created
our
sanctuary
intelligence.
city status in
Sir,
Athens.
You need to resign.
One protocol that sometimes arises.
Resign!
Resign now.
I love it. I love seeing the accountability right there to his face. And the president of the United States lies his entire career, becomes president. Why wouldn't minor guys like this try the same thing? Laken Riley. The funeral will be held on Friday in Georgia. All right, now this. Hunter Biden on Capitol Hill to be deposed by the House Oversight Committee. I'm hearing it was very interesting, very, very interesting. He was, well, let's talk to Matt Gaetz for a moment. Let's listen to what he had to say. He was in the room.
I have to say that there were a number of interesting moments, but perhaps none more interesting than when Hunter Biden told us that he joined the Burisma board to counter Russian aggression. I hadn't heard that one before. That thank goodness we had Hunter Biden on the Burisma board because that was central to his strategy to stand up to Vladimir Putin.
Has he taken the fifth at all?
No, he's been responsive to questions.
Has he told you exactly what value he brought to any of these wars, any of these companies yet? Have you guys asked him that?
Yeah, we've asked those questions, and there is an illusory value. It is a mirage to believe that Hunter Biden was engaged in international business. This was a bribe masquerading as an international business transaction. Nothing more, nothing less.
All right, I love it. We're going to have the transcript pretty soon. We know what Hunter said right off the bat. He sat down there, apparently cocky as anything, and read an opening statement. I am here today to provide the committees with the one uncontestable fact that should end the false premise of this inquiry. I did not involve my father in my business, not while I was a practicing lawyer, not in my investments or transactions, domestic or international, not as a board member, not as an artist. You know, a couple of my favorite parts here. The one uncontestable fact, I did not involve my father in my business. Well, you know, Matt Gaetz basically just said he had no business, right? That part. This is so lawyered. If you tell the truth carefully enough, you never have to lie. But I think he just flat out lied. I know that Hunter and Joe were involved. How do you explain this? Number one, it's certainly not uncontestable. May I see the email, please? The presidential email, the White House email, where Joe Biden, as vice president, is informed about the preparation work he's got to do for his call with the president of Ukraine. And who is on that email? Hunter Biden. All right. Did Joe involve Hunter? Did Hunter involve Joe? They're playing games. They're not going to get away with it. What was this all about? Was this social? Was this personal? When Joe Biden and Hunter had those guys from Kazakhstan and the oligarchs at Cafe Milano? We know it was not about that silly nonprofit that Hunter said he was on when he probably wasn't. Were they only talking about golf on the golf course, right? Devin Archer and the rest. This is the whole damn thing stinks. And of course, uncontestable. I think we need to know about this phone call, which the FBI helpfully confirmed is authentic.
Yesterday, I met with the General Prosecutor Shokin.
Yes.
And despite of the fact that we didn't have any corruption charges, we don't have any information about he doing something wrong, I especially asked him, no, it was the day before yesterday, I especially asked him to resign.
Great.
And this is my second step for keeping my promises.
I agree.
Just so we all know, that was then Vice President Biden talking to then President Poroshenko of Ukraine. And Poroshenko is clearly recording the phone call on his end. I wonder why he's doing that. He goes out of his way, Poroshenko, to say that the prosecutor investing Burisma hasn't done anything wrong, and the public likes him. But as a favor to you, Joe, I'm going to fire him. I'm going to ask for his resignation. How about that, huh? I hope this came up today. Next, may I go back to Hunter's statement? You read this fact in the many letters that have been sent to you over the last year as part of your so-called impeachment investigation. What attitude here, huh? You heard this fact when I said it weeks ago, standing outside of this building. This fact, you will hear this fact. The fact that my father wasn't involved. Now, look, there is plenty of it. Do we want to? Yeah, actually, first of all, these guys are great at lying. Okay, they've been doing it all the time. Hunter can do it. Joe did it.
What law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is, could you quickly? I think we.
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do. I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom 2/3 of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the international moot court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
The most damning thing, all lies, won the moot court competition. He didn't even enter the moot court competition, is the smile. You see, at the end, he's proud of himself. There's something a little pathological, perhaps. So this is the man who raised Hunter, and Hunter has the added burden of being a drug addict. Do you think he got good at telling the truth? Hunter Biden with this kind of example. Next, back to the statement. You do not have evidence to support the baseless and MAGA-motivated conspiracies about my father because there isn't any. All right. These are the same guys who told us, right, with a straight face, Joe Biden, and the entire intelligence community that the laptop was phony, huh? I have plenty of evidence. Number one, we all have the laptop. We have this. Circumstantial, but it's evidence. Hunter Biden following his father all over the world when he was vice president and Hunter was whatever. Why was Hunter always kind of pre-staged for his father's vice presidential visits? I hope they asked him about the $200,000 wire transfer that went from China to Joe Biden's house when Hunter was actually living in Los Angeles. I think that's pretty weird, don't you? There is all kinds of evidence, suspicious activity reports, on and on and on. And here are some names you may remember. I want to go back to his statement today. You have built your entire partisan house of cards on lies told by the likes of Gail Luft, Tony Bobulinski, Alexander Smirnov, and Jason Galanis. Now, there are only actually 2 names on that I recognize, actually 3, but I want to focus for now on Tony Bobulinski. Nobody has discredited his story. I mean, nobody. There's a reason why you don't see him on the fake news, because he's telling the truth. Tony Bobulinski is an American hero.
I was introduced to Joe Biden by Jim Biden and Hunter Biden. At my approximately hour-long meeting with Joe that night, we discussed the Biden's history, the Biden's family business plans with the Chinese, with which he was plainly familiar, at least at a high level. On numerous occasions, it was made clear to me that Joe Biden's involvement was not to be mentioned in writing, but only face-to-face.
That's not been discredited, all right? It's the FBI knows it. They've been covering it up, maybe. They've been trying to ignore it, but it's not been discredited. Back to Hunter's statement. Really is full of himself, this guy, huh? Republicans have taken my communications out of context, relied on documents that have been altered, and cherry-picked snippets of financial and other records to misrepresent what really happened. Examples of this include a few references to my family in emails or texts that I sent when I was in the darkest days of my addiction. Again, using that as an excuse. Well, a couple of things. You do know that money. First, Hunter said he never did business in China. That was it. Didn't do business in China. Then he said he did business but didn't make any money. And then finally we found out that, yes, he made money and he shared that money with his sister-in-law, who he was actually romantically involved with.